Hello, all and or sundry. The Obi Cat and me are here. Hello, Obi. To play Project Space Station on the Apple II. Just a heads up, we are playing the game in emulation. So it's, not a real Apple II, but I don't actually have a real Apple II anymore. It's so sad. I'm Earl at thelogbook.com, by the way. I'm the guy who runs thelogbook.com and is playing this game. So, and this is my Obi Cat, who you can't see, but trust me, he's here. He's here. He's right here. It's Obi. Hi, Obi. How you doing? This isn't going to work for the actual gameplay part of it, but there you go. It's Obi. It's Obi. Okay. Bye, Obi. So, you've met my crew. Let's play Project Space Station. Project Space Station was published for the Apple II, and Obi's right, I believe it was also available on the Commodore 64. Tell you what, we're not going to name this after the website. We're going to name this the Obi Cat Mission. That's correct. First thing you do when you start Project Space Station is that you have to allocate budget to everything, even planning. Now, the biggie that you have to allocate for, really, is space station modules. Those don't come cheap. At all. And Obi is trying to sit on the mouse. Bye, Obi. Very professional operation that I'm running here. You have a certain amount of funds available that you start the game with. And you really don't want to starve yourself anywhere. But modules, that's really where it's at. R&D, you can hold off on budgeting because you have to build the station and equip and staff the station before you can actually do anything. Alright, so first thing, before we buy a thing, somebody turned something on up there. Okay, R toggles auto payload packing on and off. You want auto payload packing off before you hire a single crew member or buy a single piece of equipment. The reason for this being that it really kind of randomly packs your flights. Crew selection starting out, you don't need anyone except flight engineers and shuttle pilots. I believe there are 3 of each available. Oh, 4 flight engineers. Okay. Yeah, because eventually you're going to want one of them to stay on the station. Really? I have another cat I haven't introduced you to, and she is pressing buttons that are making noise. Alright, so that's our crew selection. Let's get some space equipment. Spacesuits and MMUs don't really come into play in the game itself, but you have to have them in stock whenever you whenever you're going to start R&D projects on the station, so it helps to already have them. Okay, here's what you need a lot of in space equipment. You need to make sure you have at least 3 orbital construction pods. That is where you wind up spending most of your time in the game. But you need a boatload of satellites and a slightly smaller number of payload assistance modules. Those being sort of like the inertial upper stages that were made available for payloads on early shuttle flights to boost them to things like geosynchronous orbit, so on. Don't skimp on satellites. You're going to need a bunch of them because that's how you make a lot of your money in this game. Okay, we actually still have some in the bank there. That's good. Now, insufficient reserve funds. I mean, I haven't even gotten to power panels yet. That's how expensive it is to build the station. So I have to go back to my budget screen. Take a little away from boy, that's kind of scary. Take a little away from my... Oh wait, I just put it in the wrong place. Okay, maximum derp here. Operations needs to be well funded, but not that well funded. Okay, so let's go back to modules. Definitely need a couple of power modules, a couple of radiator modules. Ugh. That sucks. Need 75 million more. I think Obi's going to try to come see me again. He's very enthusiastic about taking part in these. I really need another camera like over here, shooting across my keyboard and monitors so you can see that he's actually sticking his head out from behind my monitor. Oh, I know what Obi wants. He wants the bowl that my lasagna was in earlier. Alright, Obi the cat. Obi the cat can do. Obi the cat. Alright. Boy, this is... The thing is, to get R&D going, you have to have plenty of power. If you're going to have plenty of power, you're going to have plenty of radiator modules. That good? Chomp, chomp, chomp. And, now station design, this is where you can kind of build your hypothetical station and you know, you can do a layout and all that jazz. The thing is, you don't actually need to design the station before you start launching it, because here's the thing, it is probably going to hew to the same basic parameters as you know, from game to game. Your station's not going to be wildly different from one game to another. Alright, now launch scheduling. Let's you're not going to make things go crash boom over there, are you, cat? you're going to want to start taking satellites and PAMs up immediately. Take at least 2 pods. Okay, whoa. I think we have some corrupted data here. One of my flight engineers, last funky. Alright. So we're going to take the hangar module up to the station, and we're going to take a satellite up. And we're just going to fly a... two-man flight like they did in the old days. Okay, so we're here we are. I suppose this bears some explanation here on the name of the shuttle that you see on the screen. This game was published about midway through 1985. Challenger was still part of the fleet. There was no reasonable expectation in anyone's mind that it was not going to be so for a very long time. So your 2 shuttles, you have 2 shuttles available to you in the game, and they are Challenger and Atlantis. If they just made it Atlantis and Discovery, that would have future-proofed the game to an incredible degree. They didn't do that. Your hold messages are very much random events. They're there just to frustrate you. Mission Control is holding countdown because of mechanical failure in the crew access arm of the launch tower. You can also, you know, say you've got to go grab a slice of pizza before you launch your shuttle. You can do a manual hold. But you know what? Let's get this bird in the air. Now this is one of launching and landing a shuttle are 2 of the game's few concessions to, you know, having any kind of arcade-style action to them. Really, you're supposed to, and I'm not doing a very good job of it, you are supposed to at least arrive on orbit within the squares, or, you know, centered as best you possibly can. I just totally lost it. You're always going to make it to orbit, but what the squares determine is how close to the station you are. The central docking core of the station is at a fixed point in orbit. Earth orbit in this game is something like 8 screens wide. Man, that's a lot of payload. Any more? Any more? Okay. The flashing bar at the bottom indicates you have a message. Press M to see that message. Launch scheduled for today. Report to the launch site. Did that. Deploy satellite to low orbit. Hey, let's go make some money. Bring out your pods. Alright, so we're going to bring our flight engineer out. And see, since we are deploying the satellite to low orbit, you just have to be close to it. You do not attach the payload assist module, and you just fire satellite to orbit. Satellite deployed. Hey. And the cash will start coming in. Alright. Let's get the hangar module, and let's go find out how dazzlingly far from the core docking module I brought my shuttle in. Yeah, you're supposed to stay more or less centered on those moving squares during launch and landing. Whoa. A little bit of Newtonian physics here. Kind of fun. Alright, docking achieved. Now there's no power at the station yet. The hangar module is very important because it is some place that you can deposit a damaged construction pod and get it repaired. Alright. Now, I want to, even though we don't have a satellite to attach it to, I'll have a message. Satellite deployment income added to the budget. Cha-ching. Alright. I do want to, I don't think grasp Pam. I don't know how she feels about that, but sorry. I do want to leave the satellite stuff. Basically what I try to set up is I kind of try to set up a just line up satellites and payload modules in a row near the station, not so close to the station that they'll damage it. If you're going to leave anything anywhere in the game, you want to leave it above, you want to leave it toward the top of the screen. You know, let's say I was going to deposit something down here, it would probably fall out of orbit. That's bad. Very bad. Oh wow, it's my 13th birthday. Ew. Hello, Challenger. Space debris has entered station orbit. Okay, well, not so fast, Challenger. Let's go find that space debris. Space debris looks like little rocks. I don't mean the capital of Arkansas. I mean, oh, whoa. And you don't want to. The thing about construction pods is they're kind of fragile. You don't want to bump stuff with it a whole lot. I have already accumulated some damage. That's one of the first meters. It's the first meter you see down there, low to high. And yeah, I'm already halfway down on fuel. So let's not screw around here. Oh, I bumped it, and yeah, now I have slightly more damage. Alright. What you do with space debris is, you remember how I was telling you stuff would fall out of orbit if you deposit it very low on the screen, right above the big blue Earth? Well, that's exactly what you want to do with space debris, because you want that stuff to tumble into the atmosphere and want that stuff cooked till it's Cajun. Oh, yeah, racking up some more damage there. If you, the reason I brought 2 pods on this first flight, and will continue to do so, is that this is tough. It shouldn't be that tough, but it is. Yeah, I suppose they make it that way, so there's launch and landing and space debris, really. These are your concessions to more space debris. And space debris is like laundry and dishes. It just keeps coming. So it's eventually what you want to do. As I mentioned, there were more flight engineers than shuttle pilots available to hire in your list of available people at the beginning of the game when you're in the planning stage. You want that extra flight engineer to remain on the station, unassigned to anything else. You know, don't assign him to R&D. And, you know, yes, this being mid-85, the game does assume, for the most part, that you are dealing with male crew members. Pod fuel level low. Okay, let's get back to the barn. I don't want to have to bring out another pod if I can at all help it. Pod fuel level critical. Okay, 1 piece of space debris. That's what we got that. second memo about. You are kidding me. It's right there next to the shuttle. That's great. Thanks for that. Okay. Okay. The only other guy who's on the shuttle is now going to come out in a pod and get the other pod back into the shuttle. Wow. Yeah, and it's hard to grab another pod. Grasp the construction pod. Okay. That was mildly embarrassing. Turn pod to storage. Tell you what, we're going to leave the space debris for the next crew to deal with. It is expensive, in your budget in the planning stages. You see mission operations gets budgeted quite healthily. It's expensive to have a shuttle on orbit. It's more expensive to have two. So we're going to land the Challenger. And landing is a lot easier than liftoff. Basically, what staying in the squares here governs is how high you're going to be coming in for a landing. If you are coming in at high velocity, just crazy hot at landing, you're probably going to do some damage to your landing gear and your braking system. This, however, is what they call nominal. So, come in nose up to kill the airspeed. Start dropping the nose. So you can start dropping altitude. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, nose down, and there we go. You can push the down key. The controls on this, by the way, largely predicated on left and right arrows and A and Z for up and down. You can hit the down key and hit the brakes, but if you hit the runway at a decent speed, not going too fast, and you hit the beginning of the runway, because you can eventually run out of runway. Okay, see, now this is a best case scenario. Only a few tiles were lost during re-entry. Limited repair is needed. Shuttle repairs will take 7 days. Press fire to exit. Alright. So, it's a nice little 10-day mission. Want to get our next bird up pretty soonish. Tell you what, I'm not going to do that. You have weight restrictions, and as a wise man said, you cannot change the laws of physics. Payload is full. Let's send Simpson Sullivan. Okay, well, now we're not done with launch schedule, because what you can do is you can use the space bar here. You can grab it and move the date, move the launch date up. That will probably put it on about the 20th. Launch scheduled for today. Here's a funny little bug I found. If you trigger this message right before you go, if you wait for the launch scheduled for today message, you trigger it right before you go to the launch screen, it cannot throw one of these random hold messages at you, like it's doing to me now, until that message is finished playing out. So, I don't know if that's a cheat, but it's handy. All systems are go. Okay, we're on Atlantis this time. Really? Holding countdown because of a helium pressurization failure in the main propulsion system. But that's okay, we're going to go anyway. Hey, that's how they were doing things in '85, I hate to tell you. Not to impugn the dignity or honor of anyone involved, but go Fever, baby. Alright, I'm trying to do a better job of staying in the squares. Yeah, in theory, if you can keep it squared up, so to speak, until you hit orbit, your arrival point is right under the station. Well, let's go see how we did. It's funny, I didn't bring a pod on this shuttle, but it assumes I have one. It's not a perfect game, but it's a fun game. Alright, so first thing I want to do, let's get the satellite out of the way. Boink. Oh, that didn't. Okay, can you please get to where you can grab the satellite? Boink. I feel like there should be cartoon sound effects here. The reality is the game has very little sound of its own. You know, it's one of those wonderful, wonderful Apple II games where sound was just not a thing that was going to happen because, yeah, the machine was barely capable of generating any space debris. Alright. Get over on... Yeah, let me get over on this side. We'll put it on the other side of the hangar. That's my damage. Ooh. Got some damage. Radiator module. Now, you can press R while you have a station module, and you can mount it to the top or bottom. Really, generally speaking, you can go ahead and make it like 5 football fields long, kind of like the real space station that's up there now. And that will... Much damage. Okay. That's how much damage, buddy. Generally, I find it easier and cleaner to keep the station in a very much in a horizontal configuration. Docking achieved. Okay, so we have power now. There's not a place for a crew to go. And there's also something called an emergency module, which I will explain on our next mission. Right now, let's go find some space rocks and get rid of them. That poor pod. Please grab that thing. Thank you. The music you're hearing in the background is not part of the game. That is kind of my secret superhero identity, Kasatochi, under which I did covers, chiptune covers of various things ranging from Pulse to the Planets to what you're hearing right now, which is, I believe, Kraftwerk. Yes, it's Kraftwerk. It's Krautrock. I Can't help but think that they would approve. That makes me laugh. Hazardous release orbit for space debris. We don't want it to burn up, do we? And yet, that's exactly what you want to do with it. It's a little tedious. It's kind of a housekeeping task that the game keeps throwing at you. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's not like you can get to where the station is crewed and supplied and suddenly you're not, flying shuttles as often as you used to. Now the space debris still keeps happening, I suppose, because other countries or agencies or what have you keep launching satellites, which isn't actually part of the game. It's not something you have to contend with. It's just, an explanation as to why there are so many wads of used toilet paper in orbit. It's kind of what they look like. Glad they're not brown. The Apple couldn't do brown. Mighty 6 or 7 color palette. Space debris. Yeah, sometimes I'll jokingly refer to the game as Project Space Debris instead of Project Space Station. Alright, am I doing undamaged? Yeah. Ooh, not great on fuel either. Oh, no, pod disabled. Okay. Well, we are going to have to bring the other guys on the shuttle out here. Come on, Sullivan. And I guess we're going to go, oh, hang on. More space debris. Because, of course, there's more space debris. Hey, dude. Slacker. Obviously don't want to pick up any more space rocks. So, you just grab the pod like you would anything else. Now, what's really funny is if you damage your new pod, grabbing the one, bouncing off of the old one, until eventually it too is no longer flight worthy, and then you have to get another shuttle up there with a third pod and do the construction pod conga line. Now here in a little bit I'll actually if we get to a slow point in the game, which I know you're sitting here thinking, but Earl, this game is nothing but excitement and adventure and really wild things. Trust me, I know. When we get to a point where things slow down a little bit in the game, I actually have some documentation of about the same vintage as the game that offers some clues as to what they were basing all of this stuff on. Space debris. Alright. Well, cleaned up that little field of it. Let's, oh, it's a hazardous orbit. Ah! No. No. Go back to the game. Ah! Don't do that. Don't do that. I accidentally hit the Windows key. Everything still seems to be recording, though. Mo space debris. Sadly, there's no monetary kickback for picking up the space rocks, which is a shame. Oh, kidding me. Let's see. Alright, still got some fuel. What's up? Oh, deploy satellite to low orbit. That's exciting. You know what? I think I'm going to deploy the satellite and then get the shuttle down out of the sky. All right, so we have another report of space debris. Okay. Any more space debris? Hello, space debris? Hello, space debris? Oh. Yes, there's some space debris. There's always some space debris. Satellite deployment income added to the budget. Is this exciting yet? Ooh. A little low on fuel. So here we are at the end of July of 1985. I forget when it was that I actually got this game. I think it may have actually been after Challenger. I don't remember. It's been a while since I was 13. There are situations in the game that can lose you a crew. Launch and landing are not among them, ironically, because those are the two mission phases that did result in crew loss. Solar flare predicted to occur in 7 days. Alright. Atlantis was in. But I brought the other guy back. Okay, that's an unexpected bug. Alright, let me try this. Turn pod to storage. More space debris. Yeah. More space debris. Now, no pod on EVA. Okay. Because of a bug in the game, I'm going to have to launch another shuttle, like, ASAP. I did mention this was not a perfect game, right? Pretty sure I did. Alright. We're going to send Walsh and fhqwhgads. Okay. Alright, so Challenger's been through her refurb period now. This is obviously science fiction. If I remember correctly, 85 was the year for shuttle launches. It was the only year that the program even was in danger of approaching the myth that NASA promulgated throughout the 70s, which was that spaceflight with the shuttle was going to become so commonplace you'd have shuttles blasting off every week. I think 1986 taught us why that would be a very bad idea. However, in this game, you have to land a shuttle spectacularly badly to spend more than 7 days in repair. Worst case scenario is you come in way hot, you overshoot the runway, you land on the dry lake bed instead of the runway, or whatever it's supposed to be. I don't really know if the game is intending this to be like Edwards Air Force Base or if it's returning you to KSC. A thought just occurred to me. I should have brought a third dude on this flight. Alright, yeah, launch scheduled for today. Bring out your pod. Man, not doing bad on the... I mean, let's face it. This scenario with two shuttles in orbit right next to each other, right next to a space station under construction in 1985. This was never going to happen, but it's, with those of us who were kids reading that, what was it, March 81 issue when the space shuttle finally flies, still touting all these great things that the shuttle was going to do that internally had pretty much already been nixed in the NASA program offices to attach a shuttle to a payload module. You just, no, don't do that. Damaged my pod. Poor fhqwhgads. Alright. Now, Simpson is permanently on EVA. What is up with you, Simpson? Alright. Okay, so this came up on... This is the new pod, so this came up from Challenger. And back to Challenger you go. Now let me check and make sure that that crew member isn't, on eternal EVA status. Alright, let me get my satellite. Hello, thank you. I try to grasp the situation as best I can. Not something I'm always good at, but there you have it. Oh, no, don't do that. No. Can we just dock the thing? Space debris. Really? to bring fhqwhgads back out. Alright, since the other pod is not 60 zillion miles away from us, let's go ahead and get this thing out of the danger zone, where it's going to get caught up in the atmosphere. Now this is Atlantis's pod, so we will okay. So I have no pod on EVA. Now let me double check. Oh crap. You were kidding me. I have 2 guys on perma EVA. I never realized. I don't remember this being such a bug in this game. Shuttle life support system has 7 days left. Okay, that's Atlantis. Can I... It's 24 days. It's got no one on board. This is bad. Okay. More crew. Oh wait, there's... Oh, okay. So I have, I don't... Okay, maybe I'm crazy. I don't remember seeing anything about this pod getting crippled. Okay, now, let me see. So I've got that guy on Atlantis. Got everybody on Atlantis. Okay, we're going to land the one that's been in space for about a month as soon as possible. Then we've got to wait for it to be refurbed before we can send it up with enough crew to bring Challenger back. But this is really sloppy space program. Now, I should have remembered to bring a 3rd guy on this mission. I just was distracted because I'm talking to you. Don't distract the driver while he's trying to land the shuttle. Whoa, okay, now accidentally started dropping the nose instead of raising it. Yeah, if I had done that and kept landing, would have overshot the runway, damaged landing gear, and it would be a good long time before I could get Atlantis back in space. Alright, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and on the ground. This is all kind of haphazard. I don't know if you can tell that or not. I'm a month into the effort to build a space station, and I'm just left an empty shuttle in space. Because why not? I ran out of dudes to pilot it. Okay, fortunately, just 7 days. No pod on EVA. everyone should be on the ground. Except Simpson. It's like Simpson's the Flying Dutchman now. Crap. Okay. See how our budget's doing. Alright. I'm gonna want to move this up as soon as I can. Within reason. I want to take up an emergency module. Okay. So what an emergency module is you saw the message earlier about the solar flare. If you have station crew on a crew module up there, and you do not have an emergency module attached to the station, you've got problems. You'll wind up with a dead crew. Alright, I'm gonna need, like, nearly everybody. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Okay, so basically I'm gonna send up 2 shuttle crews. Because I have to. I am gonna take fhqwhgads back up there, though, and I'm going to leave them on the station. Can I take anything else? Can I take a lab module? No, I can't take anything as big as a module. Can I take a PAM up? Alright. Okay. I'm scheduled for today. Let's hurry up and... no shuttle for launch. Countdown. 2-week delay. Oh, that's bad. Okay, well, hey, you know what? And here I was accusing NASA of going too fast. Let's get a little bit of real history in here, because it's 8:23 in game time. I'm not going to be launching till the 5th of September. What I have here is, it's not the monolith from 2001. It is Space Technology, the Illustrated Guide to Space Technology by Kenneth Gatland, which was published in '85, around the same time as this game. And perfect. Landed right on the page I was hoping to. Deploy satellite to geosynchronous orbit. And I can't do it for 10 days. If you don't launch in time, you will lose the launch contract to somebody else. We'll see what happens, because there's not a thing I can do about it. It's entirely possible that this free flyer workstation that I'm trying to show you here in the book is what the construction pods are based on. That would be my goal. This is a chapter of the book called Industry in Space, and, you know, had some very aspirational stuff that the shuttle program was going to shoot for in the course of getting a station launched. Shuttle life support system has 7 days left. Okay, so that's the Atlantis, which is still on orbit, because I am running the sloppiest space program in history. Yes, so that shuttle's going to have like a day of life support left when I get up to it. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to send dudes over, immediately land it, park my dude on the station, and then get out of the sky. Eventually what you are shooting for is having at least a minimal crew on the station that can handle the space debris stuff, handle the satellite launches, and at that point you use the shuttle only to bring up more modules and more satellites and more PAMs as needed, and more crew once you get into R&D tasks and have that part of the station up and running. I just want to fly. Alright, let's go. Let's go. The weather does have a bearing on your ability to launch. You can't have a launch scrub. Wow! No holds, no nothing? I always said someone should have hung some fuzzy dice in Challenger's cockpit. Maybe we did in this game. Obviously nothing like the free-flying workstation or a lot of the stuff shown in that chapter of that book that I just held up for you to view on the camera. None of that came to pass. Even stuff that was flight tested and proven, like the manned maneuvering unit jetpacks, were deemed too dangerous in the wake of the Challenger accident, because I never really figured out why. I didn't get the impression the MMU was really that dangerous, and it was terribly handy. Launch schedule for today. Report to the launch site. Satellite deployment turned over to European Space Agency. Yeah, that's what happens if you don't get your bring out your pod. Alright, the first thing we want to do here, real quick, is get the emergency module attached to the crew module on the station. The emergency module affords some radiation shielding, so the solar flare events in the game will not kill your crew. Alright, since this is dude that I planned on leaving up here, we're going to darn well leave him up here. Into the garbage chute, flyboy. Alright, now Challenger crew. Alright, what we're going to do is we are going to move one flight engineer and one shuttle pilot to the station, and then immediately put them on the Atlantis. That guy's on the station. That guy's on the station. That's who I need to put them on the Challenger. Okay. Alright. Challenger's been in orbit for 40 days. You know, I don't think that the extended duration orbiter package, the EDO, that flew several times on Columbia, I don't think that was flight rated for 40 days in orbit. Wow. So we're going to get Challenger down and get that ship turned around to bring up more station parts soonish. And then we're going to bring Atlantis down almost as immediately, because it is expensive to keep a bird in the air in this game. Yo. And I'm on the ground before I hit the runway. See what that does to my turnaround time on Challenger. But you know, Been in space 40 days. I'll be surprised if it's I'll be surprised if it's a 7-day turnaround, like that ever happened in real life anyway. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about the EDO package that was flown on Columbia several times. You know, allowing for about a month in orbit. You know, the only thing worse than this game's shuttles being Challenger and Atlantis would have been if it had been Columbia and Challenger. That wouldn't have aged well at all. Alright, so let's bring Atlantis in for a landing. It's a busy day at Edwards here. Just roll one off the runway. Yeah, whoever was in charge of NASA PR in the 70s, this is what they had in mind. Yeah, with the possible exception of leaving a shuttle in orbit for 40 days, you know, because he just didn't bring enough dudes. Okay, and then we'll get back to the station. I'll land this one a bit less haphazardly than I did Challenger. Wasn't trying to do one of those worst-case scenario landings, but yeah, I wasn't paying attention because I was concentrating on what I was saying instead of what I was doing, and it was like, oh, hey, I've got wheels on the ground before there's a runway on the ground. Oops. I'm about to do it again if I'm not careful. Perfect. Well, that's hour 1 of Project Space Station. Obviously, this is going to be a long play. This is not... Rome wasn't burned in a day. And need a little time in the planning screens to come up with the old launch manifest and see if I can take a slightly more considered approach to the rest of it. Ooh! A number of tiles were torn off during re-entry, requiring replacement. Shuttle repairs will take 17 days. That's kind of a B- grade on my landing there. Ow. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is the logbook.com's Phosphor.Fossils play-along of 1985's Project Space Station on the Apple II. Quite fun. Quite fun. I have many fond memories of spending lots of hours playing this game, and spending almost as many hours thinking of what I would add to it if I wanted to make it a better game, frankly. So, the entire crew survived the solar flare. Oh, that's right. I've got dudes up there. Deploy satellite to geosynchronous orbit. Okay, I tell you what. We'll do this one more thing. We'll bring fhqwhgads here off the station. That's appropriate. Fire Pam on satellite for a geosynchronous flight. Get that bad boy out of there. The satellite has been deployed. Yeah, that's the only reason I did that before calling quits for this for this version. Come on, can you get that satellite, please? You jocking me, fhqwhgads? Okay. Ooh, tight squeeze there. I just like lining them up in a neat little row like that, so all I have to do in the future is pop dude here out of the station in his pod and just have him go out there, launch the satellite, go back in. Because space is dangerous. It Turn the pod to storage. Alright, now let me make sure that he's on the station. Simpson is still the Flying Dutchman. Because the pods have a finite supply of fuel and oxygen. Wow. Satellite deployment income has been added to the budget. Yay, us. Alright, well that's it for this first hour of playing Project Space Station on the Apple II. From thelogbook.com's phosphor.fossils, I'm Earl at thelogbook.com. Thank you for joining me. And we'll do this again pretty soon. So gang, a little bit of bad news about my attempt to do a video for Project Space Station on the Apple II. Unfortunately, when I tried to pause the game so I could take a little break and then come back and record another hour's worth of it, the emulator, I don't know if it was the emulator glitched or the disk image, because as you can see, there were some crew member names that were just turned into, just gibberish there. So it may well have been a corrupt disk image, and maybe I need to go get a new copy of the game. Geez, you wouldn't think you would be dealing with this, with disk images. I would expect it if I was dealing with, 33-year-old floppies, but not so much disk images. But anyway, there is no continuation from that point. But it's very much an experiment, and I'm not exactly, I don't know how you want to put it, not exactly an expert at this YouTubing thing. Video production itself, yes, that I can do. Being on camera, yeah, still contemplating whether or not that is the best use of anybody's time, mine or yours. And, as far as having the gear to pull off any sort of a gaming stream, I don't know. We'll see. We'll be back. We'll play Project Space Station again. A lot of this work is an effort to really rapidly get up to speed on this to see if I am going to be capable of doing the New Year's Eve New Horizons stream, wherein I play old Ultima games on the Apple II while New Horizons flies by Ultima Thule. Because why not? What do those two things not have to do with each other? Thanks for watching, and we'll try this again.